Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
What up? Big Herc 916, getting down with Fresh Out and another Prison Talk. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the channel. Go to freshoutseries.com, pick up some merch, and wash your ass. There's nothing worse than a smelly booty. And if you haven't taken a look at the new scents, man, we got this Atlantis. It smells very good. We'll have your ball sack and your hoo-ha smelling right. So treat your significant other or yourself to a bar of this soap for Valentine's. I want to talk about what it means in prison when somebody says they're going to check out. Now, you heard about checking in, and that's when somebody hits the yard or goes to the warden and they are requesting to be put in segregation, meaning they don't want to be in a general population. They don't want to program with everybody, so they say they're going to check in. Or they check in because they're a snitch, or they check in because they've been exposed. They check in because they owe too much money. They check in for a number of reasons. So checking in when somebody is in prison and they don't want to deal with the general population and where they're being housed at, they call it checking in. They call it checking in on the street, I guess, when you hit some of these places and dudes say they're checking in or whatever. I mean, I don't understand it on the street because I've never heard of any of the country western singers or pop artists checking in. But anyways, they've turned a prison term to a term on the street as far as checking in. So for prison, it means you don't want to be around the general population. Now, checking out means that this individual no longer wants to deal with life as he sees it. He's reached the end of his cycle of fighting, whether it's mentally, spiritually, or just in general, and they're ready to go, man. They don't want to have to deal with society. Checking out, I've heard of guys checking out when they get a Dear John letter. A Dear John letter is when they get a letter from their wife or their significant other from the street, and it's basically them, from the street breaking it off. They don't want to have communication anymore. They don't want to talk to them. They're not going to accept their calls. For a lot of guys in prison, that's the end of the road. That's all they had as far as connecting them to the streets to give them hope. When they lose that hope, they don't want to live anymore. So they decide to check out. That means that they're ready to take their own life and whoever else's life along the way. They don't care if they exist anymore. I've heard of guys checking out when the last remaining family member they have on the street dies. I've seen guys, man, that have did so much time that everybody they loved has passed away and they've been alienated from society. And that alienation means that they have no purpose in their mind as far as existing. So they decide they want to check out. And some of these guys might decide to jump off the top tier, and hope that they just snap their neck when they hit the ground. Some of these guys might, just go all out with a attacking a guard with a knife or something to the point where they know by being subdued, they'll lose their life in the process. Maybe this guy try to create a riot on the yard, and hopefully he'll get shot on the yard. There's all kind of ways they do it. Overdose on some bad dope. But checking out is a real thing. And, people do it on the street all the time when they don't want to deal with life anymore. They check out through maybe alcohol, maybe, injecting themselves with fentanyl or, overdosing on heroin, committing suicide. There's a lot of different ways, but checking out in prison is when somebody they don't want to cope with life anymore. And through conversations I've had with a lot of individuals over the years in prison, you got to pay attention because you don't want to be a victim of this person checking out and they try to get you to check out with them, meaning that they try to harm you, and in the process they don't care because they're already gone in their mind. They're no longer here, so whatever they do to somebody else, it doesn't really matter. These are dangerous people. I've seen people that get out and halfway house, you can see it in their eyes that they don't have anything left to give back. They've been away from society for so long that living in society is not happiness anymore. There's no happiness there. There's no embracing life. They don't have any drive. If they had kids, their kids don't want to talk to them. Their parents have either moved on or passed away. Their friends have moved on. These people have nothing left. And so when you see people who commit these crimes after getting out again, and they go on a crazy police chase, or they just do something that's a public display of violence to the where they know that if they get put in a situation that they'll die, they're willing to accept that. They're willing to accept that suicide, but it's not a suicide if somebody else does it to them. If they go and roll through somebody else's neighborhood and just go all out and just hopefully, if they kill somebody or get killed, it's all good. Or they get into a wild chase and shoot out with the police and they get killed, then, it's justified. And you see like this guy, ex-felon, blah, 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 blah. Well, that guy had already given up on life. I know a lot of cases it could be perceived, and people say, hey man, damn, why did the police, get that guy or blah, blah, blah. And I'm not trying to defend the police, but I am telling you, some people don't want to ever go back to prison and they don't have anything left on the street. So they just feel that checking out is their best option. They don't have anything left. It's depressing. I've talked to people who wanted me to talk to their relatives, and they don't want to, these relatives that they have living with them, they don't even want to leave their bedrooms. I was talking with a guy, and he was telling me, man, he watches my show, his brother watches my show, said his brother did like, I want to say 14, 15 years, got out, and then somehow caught a violation, and then got out again after 2 or 3 years, and he said, dude, he just lost it. He's like, this guy doesn't want to leave his room. He sometimes comes out to eat with the family, but he doesn't want to leave the house. He has a cat. The cat is in there locked in the room with him. He's hearing voices, thinks his phones are tapped. These people, man, they have lost their minds, and prison can do that to you. It can make you want to check out. I've seen people who were good dudes get out and just decide to be homeless because they don't want to have to cope with trying to start over again. 14, 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, and you got to start from scratch. You're a grown man, and you feel like time has passed you by. It's a hard reality, and a lot of people don't want to deal with that reality, especially when they don't have any support from anybody around them, and they have to try to claw their way back up. And when they went to jail, they were maybe balling. They had, money, they had cars, they had women, and now they're reduced to, maybe 2 pairs of pants if they're lucky, 1 pair of underwear, showering, at a shelter, it's rough, man, and it's a hard pill to swallow. When I first got out, I could have, possibly have went and tried to live with some family members, but then I would have had to, follow certain rules and did certain things, because people always want to put stipulations on you when you move in with them as far as how you run your program. But I wanted my freedom, and I wanted to show people that I can make it on my own. So I really put my mind that no matter what, I was going to win. And I can recall, not really having a stable place. I had a place to sleep, but I would shower at the gym. I would pretty much do all my activities from the gym or in the gym lounge area. And then, I had a homie that used to help me out. The homie DL would help me out on some other stuff, showing me how to navigate through the internet and some of the social media platforms. Back then, MySpace was really big. But I used to have to catch the bus back to the hood where I was staying when I was at the halfway house. And I didn't want to be there, so I tried to stay away from there as much as possible because it was depressing. And looking at the people in there who weren't really doing a whole lot, I could see a lot of those people weren't really ready to get back into society. So, you check out as far as maybe sometimes with just not even wanting to participate in the world anymore, which is also a form of PTSD, or they check all the way out. And when they check all the way out, you got to watch out, man. That person will go out in a blaze of glory. They might decide to just do something really crazy, and they don't care whether or not they survive it or not, because the whole object is to not be subject to whatever circumstances afterwards, because they don't want to do no more time. They refuse to go back to prison, or these people just decide that life isn't worth living, man. You see what a lot of our veterans too, our military that come back from having been deployed abroad, and they don't really have anybody to talk to when they're dealing with the trauma that they went through, and you got to find ways to channel that. And this is my way of sharing with you guys, because everybody thinks prison's a joke. You see guys in there with cell phones, you see people in there spreading, you see people in there thinking, oh man, it's not that bad. It's a horrible place. It's dehumanizing, and not everybody makes it out mentally. You might make it out physically, but mentally, you might not make it out. So watch out for signs that you have a loved one, or you see somebody who's just like lost hope. They talk about a lot of negative things going on around them. They're, constantly, on drugs, because they check out. They might want to go all the way out, or maybe they want to go back to the pen because it's comfortable for them, or maybe they just don't want to live. Maybe it's better for them to just have somebody else do it for them. A lot of people don't want to actually take their own life, so they have somebody do it for them, and they check out in just a horrific way, man. So, hey, holler at your loved ones, man. If you got somebody up in there and you haven't talked to them in a while, and you had letters or something, man, you might be their last bit of hope. But I'm giving you some real game. A lot of these guys, man, they're tough guys. They tell all these stories and this and that, man. But there's a lot of stories that don't ever get out from people who aren't able to cope with the prison life. So I'm giving it to you real raw. Big Herc 916, fresh out. I'm Big Herc, and I have over a decade of experience in the prison system. Yeah, I've done a lot of time, made a lot of stupid mistakes, but that's why I'm here with you today, educating you on the Mastermind program by Fresh Out. See, they don't give you a manual when you go to jail on how to survive. They don't tell you how to go take a shower, where to sit at when you go to chow, what to do when you have mail call, how to handle your commissary. See, we cover that and a multitude of other topics that are very important, because if you do the wrong thing, you can get your damn wig split. We have over 100 million views as of date on our YouTube channel, but we've put and condensed all this knowledge into this Mastermind program so that you can provide your client with a winning chance. Do yourself a favor and your client a favor and sign them up for our program so they don't have to get their wig split and they can make it out alive.
Hello, my name is Big Herc 916, and I'm from the Wash Your Ass Committee, and I'm here to help you clean your booty hole. So I have some scents here that I would like to share with you. I have Festival, I have Butt Naked Scrub, I have some Oatmeal Milk and Honey, I have Jamaican Me Crazy, Festival. You can take a pick from one of these scents and wash your ass, make your body feel better about itself, get rid of the funk. And I would like to make sure I can give you a good deal, so let me know. Go to freshoutseries.com, pick you up a bar, and please wash your ass.
Walking around with a crusty butt, smelly ball sack, and a funky hoo-ha. Big Herc said wash that ass. Pick you up a t-shirt at freshoutseries.com.